going on, guys? Radio Man here. See if I can do a quick video. So I occasionally see a lot of guys posting pictures of their antennas and they don't seal it, and maybe they think, oh well, you know, like this particular style, which I don't like, the actual connector is slightly recessed inside this base station antenna. I've even seen people do this with mobile antennas like Fire Sticks. They just don't weatherproof it. So I'm watching this guy on YouTube the other day, and I was kind of blown away. I mean, I don't want to pick on the guy. Maybe he's good at a lot of things, but looks like some sort of had some sort of homesteading prepping channel. And he's like, oh, my Patreons asked for this. And I'm like, God dang, people are paying for this information? Oh man, I need to get on that. And basically he showed his CB antenna, and where all the things he went wrong is he didn't explain to his viewers that, you know, he had his CB antenna 10 feet off the ground on his shed, which I guess was like his prepper room. And first things first, you know, you do the best you can, but the reality is you need to have the antenna at least about 35 feet off the ground for it to even work effectively. I know not everyone can do that, but he still should at least disclose that to these people that are paying for this information, or admit, I don't know guys, I can't make a video on it. And then he shows it and he doesn't weatherproof the connector. So there's a couple of things you can do. This stuff is called coax seal, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of like ice and water shield that they use in the construction industry. It's stretchy, it's kind of got like a Play-Doh consistency. The idea is that you can wrap it around this connector and you can form it with your fingers. The reason why I don't like this stuff, and it works, don't get me wrong, is it's a real, when the sun hits it, it kind of like, it doesn't really liquefy, but it kind of like softens up. So when you wrap this stuff, you wrap it with tension, and then usually, oh shoot, I forgot to bring it with me, but you put a wrap of electrical tape, and this stuff will kind of ooze out. And if you ever got to take this apart, it gets into the connector. It makes this like a real bear to get apart. You almost, it works, and you could, you know, work it around on this connector and then put a wrap of electrical tape. But I'm just not a fan of it. What I would recommend is getting some of the silicone tape, which is way more forgiving to work with. You know, usually if I got to get back into it, I just cut it with a utility knife. But this stuff, it's hard to explain on the video, but it's not sticky when you touch it, or even when you pull the backing off, but it'll stick to itself. That's why they put this backing on. What I like about this is, and I could show you guys here, is the way to apply this stuff. Let me get my knife out. You don't really need much for a wrap on this connector. The trick is, and I don't like this style of connector, is it's slightly recessed. What I would recommend doing is I would actually do 2 wraps. I would wrap this as best I could, and then I would try to seal this, because you can't get into here is the problem. You can see how much it recesses into there. This spider keeps crawling on me. So that's my issue, is that maybe this stuff would be better because you could like push it up into the connector, but good luck ever getting back in there again. So I would almost take this in like a 2-step thing. The idea is you just need to seal this connector. You cannot put this stuff up without sealing the connector. So what I would do is, you don't need much. You're going to stretch it when you wrap it. So I would just pull out a piece like this, and this is just a jumper cable that I have here. You pull your backer off, and you see what I'm talking about? Like I'm touching it, I'm not sticking to it. What I would do is I would try to get as close as I can. You hold it with your thumb and you stretch as you wrap. And that's when this stuff becomes really sticky. I missed a little bit right there, but you can see how it sticks to itself. But to finish this, I would take a piece that's even longer than the first piece, and normally I'm not doing this on the ground, and I'm gonna get that up off the ground a little bit more so that my tape isn't going in the dirt. I want to totally seal this connector, so the next thing I would do so now you've essentially sealed that connector. The only thing is, like, I was dropping it in the dirt in my garage floor. It doesn't affect its sticking properties. Like if you're using duct tape, it's not how this stuff works. It's like when you stretch it, and you can see I'm like brushing off the dirt. So it doesn't affect the sticking properties of it. But now, as you see, we've totally sealed this. The only thing that I would probably do is I would go over this with like a wrap of electrical tape, and I'll do that real quick. This isn't totally necessary because this stuff is like UV rated, and yeah, you can see here, non-adhesive, self-bonding. Some people would argue not to wrap up in here and let the water just shed this way, but my concern is that moisture will get into here and eventually wick its way into the connector is my concern. This isn't totally necessary, but I would just get yourself some good electrical tape like Scotch 33, and when you're doing this, you know, pull tension and try to get your wraps clean so you don't have like a wrinkle that would allow water to get into the connection. So you see how it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but there's no wrinkles in the tape. This will ensure that you have a waterproof connection, and you'll be able to get back into it if you ever had to someday. You'll just have to redo all this again. Like I said, so I would just go down, like I said, not totally necessary, but it's just an extra bit of insurance to keep the water out. You can cut it, but I usually just do that. So yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy. You know, the guy's like, oh, my Patreons, and I'm going, you kidding me? If you ever had to get back into this, I would very carefully, you know, kind of gingerly cut. Well, I can just do it. This isn't actual. So let's say you had to get back into this. You can see how I'm cutting there. The only thing you're going to be careful of is that when you get down to where you know the connector kind of starts in the coax shield, you can see it's starting to peel apart a little bit. You can just pull it apart like this. And you can see I have to get a little bit more of a cut right here. This stuff, now that you have this kind of cut more carefully, I would just thread this out. The main thing you want to be careful of is this, if this is your station coax, is now we're down here into the actual PVC jacket. So you want to make much more, see, I didn't even damage that, much more ginger. And this is just electrical tape. So you could just peel that. Oh, that's actually, there's still a little bit more there. Very light cut. And there you go. So, that's how you seal up your coax connector. Like I said, this stuff does work, and a lot of antenna manufacturers send it like a piece. I'm not downing it. I just don't like what would end up happening was personal experience. It gets into here, you literally have to get channel locks on this to make it turn because it's all gooed into here and it just boogers it up. I don't like it. It works, I can emphasize that, but like I said, I would get yourself some of this stuff. If you're not using this stuff, you really need to be, I mean, I'm not even saying you have to get this brand. It's a good one, but you know, I would get something. I would get something like this silicone tape. This is all I use now because it's way more, and it does come with instructions. See, they say pull back 2 to 3 inches, wrap firmly on a surface, make 1 full overwrap to begin, stretch to activate up to 300% as you wrap, overwrapping 60%. So pretty clear instructions. But like I said, watching that video, and you know, like guys like, oh, my Patreons, and I'm going, my God. It was just really substandard information. So, and I see this a lot. I see people post pictures of their antenna installations, like a Fire Stick. Mine are all drilled through, so I don't have to worry about this. But you know, they mount them on their mirrors or whatever, and you just see this, and you're like, that's gonna fill water in no time, and you know, it's gonna work great for a couple months. Anyways, this is Radio Man out. Thanks.